Hello, in this video I'll be sharing with you this requested tutorial on how to cut this corset. So this is actually a 2-in-1 corset, but for the requested tutorial I'll be cutting it as a one-piece corset. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive right into today's video. So I've gone ahead to mark my basic measurement, which is my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, and my shoulder to waist. So I just added 4 inches for my blouse length after my waistline. Now I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. From that point I'll come down by 1 inch and I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder slope for this pattern, and I'll go ahead to connect. After I'm done marking that, the next step is to find my chest line. To find your chest line, which is also your armhole, is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll go ahead to draw out a line. After I'm done marking that, whatever I have on the shoulder line, I'll go ahead to replace it on the chest line. Now I'll draw out a straight line, and after drawing this out, I'll be dividing this part by 2 to form my armhole curve, and to get the midpoint I'll mark come out by ½ inch. At the chest line, I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now I'll connect from the ½ inch to the upper part, and from the upper part to the chest line. So after I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead and draw out the armhole of this dress. Next, I'm going to be marking the neckline, which is a basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches. But what we have on the pattern, the neckline is a bit, what we have on the thumbnail or the video, the neckline is a bit high. Go ahead to make your own neckline high if you want to. Now I'll be marking the dart intake for this pattern. I'll start by marking the nipple to nipple divided by 2. So my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5. I'll mark this all the way to the lower part. Go ahead to draw out a straight line starting from the upper part to the lower part of the pattern. So after I'm done marking, I'll be taking a dart intake of 1 inch on both sides. So if you're a plus size, go ahead to mark 1.5 inches, or if you have a bigger bust, go ahead to use 1.5 inches at both sides. So next, I'll go ahead to place my ruler, and I'm going to connect my lines. And after I'm done marking this, I'll also connect at the other side of my pattern. So I'm going to connect from the bust down to the under bust. Go ahead to repeat this at the other side of my pattern. So after I'm done marking, I'll go in with my marker and I'll go ahead to draw this out. I'll extend this at both sides of the pattern. So next, you want to decide where you want your cup to start. So I'll be using 1.5 inches above my chest line, and after that I'll mark my nipple to nipple again, and I'll go in and connect. Now I'll be taking my dart intake on both sides, which is 1 inch, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way from the bust line to that 1.5 inches on top. So after I'm done connecting also, I'll also go ahead and use my marker to outline this. Now that 1.5 inches mark, I'll just draw a line there to serve as a guide for my pattern. So after doing this, the next step is to insert your measurements. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, which my bust is 33 divided by 4. I have 8.3. I will mark, measure this dart intake and replace, then go ahead to add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, which is 28 divided by 4. I have 7. Replace the dart intake and add my sewing allowance. So if you want to snatch your waistline, my waistline is 28. I'll take out 2 inches, then divide what I have there, which I will have. After taking out 2 inches and dividing on my waistline, I have 6.5. I marked it, measured the dart intake to replace. Here I marked the hip circumference divided by 4, replaced my dart intake and added my sewing allowance. So for this pattern, you don't need too much sewing allowance. ½ inch or 1 inch is enough for this pattern, unless you just want to give room to readjust your dress. So I'll just go ahead to connect from the bust all the way to the lower part of the pattern. After I'm done outlining, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to outline it and label, and repeat all these measurements on the other side. I'll come down by ½ inch from my chest line and also come in by ½ inch at that point. So now I'll place my curved rule, connect from that point all the way to the under bust of my pattern. So after I'm done marking this, I'll connect it to the upper part, and after I'm done connecting, I'll be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus half. Now from this point, I'll go ahead to connect my cup, and I'll go ahead to connect this to the armhole and draw out the yoke area. Next, you want to mark your bust dart. To get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17 and my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5 inches, giving me a bust dart of 1.5 inches. And I'll go ahead to draw out a straight line at this point. So you'll be blending this out when you're cutting your pattern and also your cup. So you want to match the side because mine does not meet at that point. So I'll go ahead and label my cup and I'll be transferring all these measurements to the other side. So after I'm done transferring my measurements, I'll go ahead to open this up. And I'll also go in and I will label my cup at this side also. So next we want to go ahead to draw out the asymmetric hemline at the lower part of this corset. So what you're going to do now is to come down by 3.5 or 3 inches from your waistline. Now I'll be connecting this. So when you're connecting this side, you need to blend in the darts, and I'll fold it up this way, and you notice that the line now will be meeting at the other side. So here I'll extend this and also blend in my dart. So this line I'm coming down from is extra 2 inches after the original length of my corset. So the blouse length I used was my waist plus 3 inches. So for the asymmetric area, I added extra 2 inches. And at the other side also of my corset, I measured 3 inches and I reconnected to the upper part. So this is what I have on my pattern now, and I'll go ahead to cut this out. So I'll go ahead and cut out my corset pattern out. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment at the comment section. So if you also want to join my pattern illustration class or my WhatsApp group, you can go ahead to indicate at the comment section. You can also follow me on my second YouTube channel at Marky's Closet. There we do both cutting and sewing tutorials. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the rest of my pattern. So now after I'm done marking out, this is my basic back pattern. If you notice, my shoulder to waist is 15.5 and I added extra 3 inches to my waistline. Just like I said earlier, my front waistline is 17 inches, my back waistline is 15.5. So I'll go ahead to mark out my basic neckline for the back for 3 inches by 1.5 inches, and I'll go ahead to draw this out. After I'm done outlining this part, the next step is to go ahead to mark my dart. So I'll be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2, just like we did for the front pattern. Take this all the way to the lower part of the pattern and I'll draw out a straight line. After I'm done marking this, you want to mark a basic dart intake of 1/2 inch and come down by 1 inch from the bust line. Now I'll extend this all the way to the upper part and extend it to the lower part of my pattern this way. So next, you want to come in and use your marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. After you're done marking this, you want to go ahead to insert your body measurement. So I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance because there's no dart here. Mark the same waistline you used for the front pattern, measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Now mark your hip circumference divided by 4 at this point and add your sewing allowance. After this, you want to go ahead and connect your pattern all the way from the upper part to the lower part of this pattern. After you're done connecting, you're going to go ahead to use your marker to outline. So now, just like I said earlier, this pattern is a 2-in-1 pattern, but we are cutting it out as a one piece. So I marked the lacing bar area using 2 inches. So for this part, back part, I'll be coming down by 1/2 inch here, reconnect it, and for the yoke here, I'll be using a longer or deeper neckline here. And this part, I'm going to be inserting buttons at that part or loops. Now you're going to take out 0.3 inches from here so that the yoke will relax. So this is what I have for the back pattern, and coming down here, I'll just extend this to create a design at this part. So actually, in the original corset, the corset part is different from the lace or chantilly lace side. So it's more like a 2-in-1 corset. After sewing the lace, you're going to make a corset and put it together. But for this tutorial, I'm making it as a one-piece corset. So if you find this video very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. Join us in our next video, and if you're also interested in joining our group, you can chat us up on our WhatsApp number or indicate at the comment section. So after I was done cutting, this is what I have. See you in our next video, and thanks for watching.